Hi everyone. Today I want to look at one of the most iconic and beloved classic Disney songs of all time. This song is beautiful and magical and fills Disney fans with feelings of nostalgia and warmth whenever they hear it. The song in question is... No, not that one. This one. Yeah, that's it. Okay, seriously, I know that this song is the butt of a lot of jokes.
It's a small world after all.
No, anything but that.
And is one of those songs that a lot of people love to hate. But it has a really interesting history, thousands of people still hear it every day, and by some metrics it's actually one of the most popular Disney songs of all time. So, let's take a look at the history of this song, where it came from, how it's heard today, and why it has such a controversial reputation. The story of the song, It's a Small World, begins in the early 1960s with the ride, It's a Small World. At this time, Walt Disney was preparing a couple of exhibits for the 1964 World's Fair. The theme for this World's Fair, based in New York, was Peace Through Understanding. And so, for one of his exhibits, Walt came up with a little boat ride that would showcase the different cultures of children around the world. The working title of this exhibit was Children of the World, and Walt initially wanted the animatronic children to each be singing their own national anthem. However, when he created a large mock-up of the attraction and tried it out, all the different songs playing at once created an awful cacophony, which was, in the words of one observer, ironic considering the intended theme of global harmony. So, Walt approached the Sherman Brothers, a songwriting duo that had worked at his studio for a few years at that point, and had already contributed to Disney's musical output by writing such songs as Let's Get Together from 1961's The Parent Trap, and Enjoy It from 1962's In Search of the Castaways. For his World's Fair exhibit, Walt asked them to write a simple song that could be sung in various languages and that would convey the message of human understanding. Also, during one of their conversations about the writing of the song, Walt, in passing, referenced the centuries-old phrase or idiom, small world, casually saying at some point, it's a small world after all. This gave the Sherman Brothers an idea, and they proceeded to write the song, It's a Small World. They purposefully used simple lyrics to keep translation easy, and made sure the music was malleable, so it could be played with a Latin beat, it could be played with little Dutch shoes clicking to it, it could be played in a little French march. Initially, they had intended it to be a calm, heartfelt song played more like a slow ballad, but when Walt heard it, he requested a more cheerful, sped-up version, and when the Sherman Brothers had made the appropriate changes, Walt conveyed his approval through his typical phrase, "That'll work." The song was published in 1963, and initially, the Sherman Brothers thought about waiving the royalties to the song since it was for a worthy cause, but Walt persuaded them not to. He had a feeling the song would be a major hit, and told them that song is going to make you famous and put your children through college. Keep your royalties. And as he so often was, Walt was right. However, contrary to a myth that is sometimes heard, the Shermans don't earn money every time it's played on the ride. They receive royalties only when the song is used outside of the park, in a TV show or movie. But usage within the park is considered work for hire, for which they were paid once. The ride for which the song was written was built at the Walt Disney Studios in Burbank and then shipped to the World's Fair, where it was housed at the Pepsi-Cola-sponsored UNICEF Pavilion. After the closing of the fair in October 1965, the ride was transported back to California, where it was installed at Disneyland in 1966, opening on May 28th of that year. Since then, it has been one of Disneyland's most popular rides and has been added to almost all of the other Disney parks, including Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, Tokyo Disneyland, Disneyland Paris, and Hong Kong Disneyland. As a result, at any given time, the iconic song is always playing somewhere around the world. It also, because of this, has the distinction of being the most performed and most translated song of all time. Now, let's take a quick look at the song itself and see what we can learn. It's a fairly short song that has 2 verses and a chorus, each only 16 measures long. The verses set up the chorus lyrically by describing the main idea of the song. It lists laughter and tears and hopes and fears as commonalities that, no matter who we are or where we're from, we all experience and feel. It mentions that even though we might live far apart and in very different places, there is so much that we actually share. The chorus follows from this and pretty much just consists of the phrase, "It's a small world after all." I feel that while the chorus is pretty simple and repetitive, the verse is actually pretty good. It makes simple and clear, very real and profound truths, that there is much more that we share than sets us apart, and that if we focus on these things instead of our differences and disagreements, we'll have a much happier and peaceful world. And this idea is further expounded upon and promoted through a recent addition to the song. In 2008, in celebration of the ride's 45th anniversary, Robert B. Sherman, the Sherman brother who was more the lyricist, wrote a new third verse for the song at the request of Disney legend and Imagineer Tony Baxter. While it's not heard on the ride or really elsewhere much, this verse furthers the idea of the original lyrics and makes them even more clear and explicit. Here they are. It's a world of wonder, a world of worth, and in years to come we'll know peace on earth. We will open our eyes and we'll all realize it's a small world after all. On the surface, the music, like the lyrics, is pretty simple. The song is in C with hardly any accidentals, and the time signature is 4/4. The verse has a bit more to it, but the chorus is pretty much just the same 4 measures repeated 3 times, just raised up a step each time, as we can see here, before concluding with a pretty basic ending. But the song isn't quite as simple as it sometimes appears. While the verse and chorus have different melodies, they actually utilize the same harmony. This is known as counterpoint, and as a result, the 2 melodies can be sung at the same time, but still sound good, and the harmony is maintained throughout. We can see this by looking at the sheet music here. The piano plays the melody in the right hand here in the verse, and then the melody switches to the left hand in the chorus. But the right hand is playing the same music in the chorus as it did in the verse. And this can actually be heard in various arrangements of the song as well as on the ride itself. Here's an audio clip of the ride about 1.5 minutes after entering the building. The vocals are the verse, but you can distinctly hear the chorus in the bells playing in the background. This process helps give this simple little tune a bit more depth and keeps it interesting over the course of the ride. It also contributes to the feeling of harmony that the entire ride and song promotes. It was also argued by Robert Sherman Jr. that this repetitive yet varied pattern tricks your mind into absorbing the work without it becoming tiresome to your ear. He then added, there are many who would disagree with this, however. So, that's pretty much the song. But of course, the place most people hear this song is actually on the ride itself. So let's go over that briefly and see how the song is presented on the attraction. And I'm just going to focus on the version at Disneyland since that's the original version and I actually haven't been to any of the other parks. If there are any differences you notice between this version and one heard at another park, let me know in the comments. Alright, so the song is not heard as you get on the boats outside, but once you approach the entrance to the actual ride in the building, you begin to hear the song. Excluding the small hello and goodbye rooms, there are 8 different sections that represent the following different continents or regions. The Arctic or Scandinavia, Europe, the Middle East and Asia, Africa, Latin America, Oceania, the US, and then a finale room with children from all the previous rooms all together. The lyrics of the song are sung in the various languages of the different locations, and the music of the song is generally arranged a bit differently to match the musical styles of that region as well. Also, in the first 5 rooms, the song is arranged so that you hear the music of the verse 2 times, then the chorus, and that pattern just repeats. Which of the 2 verses you hear switches around a bit at times, with the first verse being repeated twice in some places, and the second verse preceding the first verse in other places. But the music always follows this pattern. But when you get to the Oceania room, the music changes a bit. The song starts off the same in that room, being sung by Ariel, with the 2 verses, then the chorus. But then you don't actually hear the melody of the song for the rest of that room. Instead, you hear music that is in the style of what sounds like traditional Polynesian music, that is more rhythmic and matches the harmony of It's a Small World more than the melody. And then, right after this room, in the US and finale rooms, the Small World song is now presented as the verse once and the chorus twice, and the second chorus ends with a bigger, more final-sounding ending. Now, they probably didn't really need different music in the Oceania room to switch between these 2 versions of the song, because remember, you can sing the verse and chorus at the same time and it still works. But it does help to distinguish between the 2, and it also switches up the music a bit, which might be a bit of a welcome change for some visitors. After all, the ride lasts about 15 minutes, one of the longest attractions at the park. And even though you're only in the building hearing the song for about 12 minutes, because the song is so short, you're still hearing it several times. The song, with the 2 verses and chorus, or 1 verse and 2 choruses, generally only lasts about 48 seconds, meaning that you hear the complete song about 15 times over the course of the ride. As a result, in order to make it perhaps not so repetitive, they've changed up the arrangements throughout the different rooms and added that shift in the Oceania room to further switch it up. But there is no denying that this song is still pretty controversial. Many consider it to be just an annoying earworm, and in addition to the repetitious nature of the song, some accuse it of simply being too light and saccharine in its lyrics and melody. Even Richard M. Sherman, the song's composer, is quoted as saying, "When you play it up-tempo like that and you hear it for 10 minutes, you can't get it out of your head, I know." And he added, "People either love me for it or hate me." Overall, while the song is a bit controversial, it is also unarguably iconic and very well known. For better or worse, it has definitely made a mark on our society and has certainly entered our collective cultural consciousness. In fact, in 2022, a 1964 recording of It's a Small World, performed by the Disneyland Boys Choir, was selected by the Library of Congress for preservation in the United States National Recording Registry. And whatever your personal opinions are of the song, there is no arguing that the message of the song, as well as that of the ride for which it was written, is heartfelt and genuine, and truly something we should all remember and take to heart. Especially during these troubled times, and in light of the various conflicts we see playing out around the world, we should all try to practice tolerance, empathy, and kindness. Richard M. Sherman called the song a prayer for peace, and also described it as a simple child's prayer to respect each other and to love each other. I hope that we can all strive to do exactly that. Thanks for watching.